Hi, this is Jackie of Maiden Voyage, and I am so excited today to bring you this interview that we did when we were at Inbound in September just a few weeks ago. We learned so much and are still reeling on all of the great information that we took away from Inbound, but one of my most favorite parts was talking with friends like Shana here about to meet. We had the honor of interviewing her. She's the founder and president of Modern Driven Media. It is a Philadelphia-based marketing company. When she first started this agency, they specialized in social media management. But what we learned is that they have expanded to offer a wide range of services. So if you're thinking about owning your own agency one day, or just looking for some advice on all things marketing, you really need to hear Shana's story. Thanks for listening.
Maiden Voyage is a podcast recorded by the women of Impulse Creative.
We are CEOs, salespeople, project managers, writers, and marketers. We're also wives, rad moms, remote employees all over the country, in-house staff, empowered single ladies, and all-around ass kickers.
There's a lot of challenges we face, overcome, and share that make our voyage different than those of the men we work with. This is our journey.
You went from social media to being almost a full-fledged agency at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is it. We're doing all the things.
Yeah, it's been crazy because we started just as social media. And I will be the first to say it was a lot of fail a lot and fail fast, but like you learn that quick. So we started off, I was doing social media for maybe $200, $300 a month.
Okay.
So we were like, okay, maybe the best way to go about this is start small.
Right,
and scale up from there. And we were like, no, this isn't gonna work. Like, let's look to do more and really provide value. And that's when we were like, all right, let's see how we do this. Like, we know we're good at social media, but what are the problems that we're having with social media?
Sure.
And
where were the maybe holes and opportunities in your clients to dig a little deeper?
Exactly. And we were like, either their websites were or their, they weren't following up the leads. All right, perfect. So, you know what I mean? There was so many different factors, and we had the relationship, and we had the trust, and we had the strategy.
Right.
Most importantly,
they knew you.
So we needed the team to implement. All the tactical approaches, and that's when we started growing and scaling.
I love that. I want to know, what was the biggest lesson you learned in that initial, when you say you tried and you failed kind of process? Like, what is the one thing you took away from that today you're still feeling empowered and motivated by?
So I think it's just the whole idea of failure. Like, fail often, fail fast. And if you're afraid to take those leaps, you might not ever have any growth opportunities. Because that's usually the thing that I think that was the scariest, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is just taking that leap of faith, like, oh, this isn't something that we've explored yet, whether that was pricing models, whether that was new services that we were adding on, whether it was a new client vertical or anything like that.
Yeah.
We were like, you know what, maybe this is what needs to be done, but what we're going to find out is if we go and do it.
And like, fall on your face and get back up again.
Yeah, and there were some absolutely terrible mistakes that we made from the very start, but then, we learned from it, and we pivoted, and it was never something that was so drastic that we couldn't recoup from. And oftentimes, those were the biggest catapults forward at the end of the day.
Those lessons learned make you grow as a human and as your business.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like you have a really solid team around you, which we'll get to in a little bit. So I love that. So your team.
Yes.
So we went to your website, obviously, and Jen and the other mermaids, and I was telling them a little bit about you as we were doing our research before we got here today. And it seems like you have a lot of chicks running the show. And obviously, Maiden Voyage loves that, being like strong, powerful women ourselves. Tell me more about that.
So we were, for the first 3 years, the agency was strictly women that were like running the business.
So great.
So
by design or by accident?
It was by accident, I think, but it worked out well. It worked out well. So now we have Will on our team, we have Tim on our team who are here. They're the gentlemen on the team. The rest of us are, women. So we have 6 full-time now, 4 part-time.
That's great.
And,
even in the last year since I've seen you, you've grown tremendously.
Yes.
So exciting.
Yes.
That's awesome. We love you dudes too, don't get me wrong. But
I think, and it was something that was a little hard to overcome at first, if I'm being completely honest.
Bringing men into the team.
Just being a young female business owner.
Yeah.
Right? So I started the agency at 22.
Right.
And I never obviously ran a business before.
Right.
And our industry was automotive. So I'm talking to a lot of people that are very set in their ways. They're older.
That's where you
males.
started, was in the automotive vertical.
So
Dang.
if there was one thing, like rub a little dirt on it, get up and keep going.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think starting in that industry really kind of helped propel me forward to expanding into new industries, just being able to carry myself better.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, it's all about what value I can provide them.
Absolutely.
And that's always what we focused on.
Sure.
Is, all right, first and foremost, we have to help, like, this foundation of everything that we do is based on relationships.
Yeah.
That's why we started in social. Like, it was a relationship platform. It's being social.
Right.
And that was
connecting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how you and I connected. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of, you kind of navigate towards people that you share common interests with, common values
and that you're
with.
naturally drawn to as well, both professionally and personally. Like,
absolutely.
Even in our office, we're not all women. We're probably 50-50 at this point at Impulse, but we're all just naturally drawn, so we work together. We want each other to succeed. We want to help each other.
Sure.
And it sounds like you guys have that same sort of culture at your company.
Yep. And it's weird because, it's one of those things, like, culture is, like, so talked about and everything like that. And I was in a session today, and it was talking about, when you're small, it's like every new person adds a bit of a dynamic to the team, and I completely 100% agree with that. But I think we have these core values that we all live by, and not just in the professional workplace, but like carry ourselves by.
Yeah.
And I think that's really huge when it comes to not only recruiting team members, but recruiting clients as well. And we went through a period where we got rid of some clients, and like some, it was just they weren't ready to level up themselves, and it just wasn't a good.
They thought they were ready to commit to something that they just aren't ready for emotionally, whatever it is at the moment.
Exactly. And then there were some that at the end of the day, the reason you do business with people is they know what they're doing, and you like them.
Right.
Like that's
I know.
simple.
I know.
I was like, people can say, oh, we're the best at doing this, we're the best at doing this, we're the best at doing that. At the end of the day, you're gonna have the best results when there's like an environment that's just comfortable, and like has full transparency, and like you're willing to collaborate with one another. If that's not there, it doesn't matter how great they are, because the communication isn't going to like
it's all broken.
Exactly.
That's amazing. I love that. So it says on your website, don't do social, be social.
Yes.
So, like, what does that mean to you, and how do you manage your social media differently with that, like, aspect
mentality? So, I mean, when it comes to social media, especially like when it comes to business, people are like, oh, businesses, people don't care about businesses. Like, you see businesses blowing up on social media nowadays. And a lot of the clients that we work with, they're B2B. And it's kind of been that mentality where, you're just distributing content. And like, that's what I consider doing social.
Just pushing.
Just pushing. But when you're being social, it's starting those conversations, building those relationships, and like ultimately fostering a community. And that's when you're powerful.
I have to introduce you to this girl, this woman who I fell in love with and met this week, Bella Vesta. Do you know her? She just used to talk about Facebook user groups. It's like that's her thing. And she's made like a career of it now. And I think that you guys are really aligned within this idea of like being social, providing a safe place to foster a relationship.
And I think it's huge. And it's always funny because I know we're gonna get into my Instagram, and like people are like, okay, you're supposed to be a business owner, but you kind of like live this like wild, crazy life. And I was like, it's
not wild and crazy.
Sometimes maybe, but but it's like, you know what? That's being transparent. That's being social. That's and I can say like
there's no shame in your lifestyle.
Oh my gosh! Like, I genuinely have met business owners that I've connected with on there, mentors, new friends, just like people that you like vibe with in different ways, and like there's so many
similar interests. Again, being social.
And there is like I think there's this huge issue when it comes to social media, and this is something that I've always felt like extremely passionate about. Is like everybody's always showing their best. Now I'm guilty of it. Like throw a filter on it. Like you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like in all dynamics of
get that good angle.
But like I'm so concerned about like the younger generation too that's growing up in this environment where that's it. Like that's the only thing.
Like it's okay to make a mistake and not look perfect.
And it's okay to not be okay. Like not everybody's life on social media is exactly that.
It's 100% not that.
And I try to do that, especially like looking at like Instagram stories. Guess what? I will be at the office till 12:30, and it was a really tough day, and some things didn't go as well as other things did. And you know what I mean? And I think that's so hard, especially with people coming in living only through social media.
Correct.
It's going to be
these communities you talk about though can foster more of a, I think, like a natural discussion that isn't always perfect, and that's again doing social versus being social. And I like love this. I'm like wrapping my mind around this, and I think that everyone needs to be more social instead of just doing it. Right?
Exactly.
It's so fake.
Make it a community. Have the conversations. Like genuinely get to know someone from behind the screen.
I love it.
And I think it makes all the difference. And when you're able to do that, people are like, okay, well, you can do that as like the individual.
Right.
But we've been able to see it for businesses too, and like that's powerful.
Yeah.
You know, when you're able to establish something where people are then talking to each other because of the questions that you're sharing.
You're delivering a message that is resonating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Beautiful. I love that. Okay, so what is the biggest challenge you face as a female CEO owner, like in this? Because I personally think that HubSpot and the inbound community is very female driven.
Yes.
There's a lot of chicks up in this place, a lot of female agency owners, a lot of strong, powerful women at the company itself, like just a lot of really good positivity. But I'm sure you've come across some struggles being a young female CEO in your course.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been tough. There's some situations that have been tough, but I think it's not different than many other agency owners. It's just like, it's a startup.
Being a boss.
You gotta make
and it's awesome.
Yeah, you gotta make some pretty tough decisions, and I think the hardest thing and like some of those difficult decisions that I've either had to make or the difficult conversations that I've had to have, sometimes you're expected because you're a woman to like approach it in a certain
react
way.
a certain way, sure.
Yeah, and so those reactions can be taken in a different dynamic. So like when you are firm and like concrete in your standing and driven by that, it's looked at as
We've done an episode on that.
Yeah, and it's true, and I think it comes down to how you respond to that as well. Because I'm like, you know what, if this was a different situation, like this is what is going to happen, this is why, and regardless, if this were in a different type of conversation, how would you react?
Sure.
If you were in my shoes, how would you react?
Right, yeah.
So I think it's just like finding that common ground, which
empathy.
Yeah.
All about empathy.
Exactly.
And so what would you say to any young gentleman or young female who is ready to start their own agency or thinks they want to, like what one piece of advice would you give to them to take that like leap out on their own and just like, I mean, I imagine it is there's a lot of vulnerability when you begin your own company. And so what would your piece of advice be?
So I think I have 3 things.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. All right. So start.
Just do it.
So many people just talk and talking isn't going to do anything.
Great.
Right? So like just do something. Don't be afraid to fail. Do it a lot and do it quickly, but be open to pivoting because of it.
Yeah.
So as long as you're able to take that feedback and learn from it.
Yes.
And then find a support group, not people that are just going to be like, yeah, go for it, go for it.
But not just like friends.
Exactly, but the people that are going to be honest with you, the people that are going to hold you accountable, I think that's the biggest thing to kind of keep that action going.
I love
and like
that.
Starting moving forward,
I love that. Okay, so we met in person.
Yes.
But we communicate a lot socially. We are social. And so I started following you on Instagram and I was like, who is this girl and what is this life? Like, what is happening here?
Yep.
So clearly you value your, what would we call this? Work-life balance.
Yes.
And so I'd like to know kind of what you do at the agency to honor that with your entire staff.
Sure. So, I mean, I think it just comes down to, like, I'm lucky enough that our team is small, so, like, we all really do have, like, friendships there.
Yeah.
And it just comes down to, it's so easy when it comes to doing everything digital to never turn off. And I'll be guilty, like, I have this work-life balance, but, sometimes what's seen on social media, it's I'm on the laptop till 5 minutes before that picture, and then I'm going home after just to hop back on. So, but I think it's so important because I think we've all had burnout in some aspects of our life, and I know sometimes when you are just so overloaded with projects, whatever it may be, sometimes it's hard to look at that phone, whether it's an email that comes in, a social media, and especially when you have all of your clients attached to your phone, things like that. You know, so I think just knowing that, it's important to know it's going to be the same for everybody else.
Sure.
And you do have to turn off to be at your best. And you know, that's where
blow off steam, which is what I would say, like, is what I see you doing, is having a good time with your friends and like connecting and getting out there, but like you are really good at blowing off steam, I think, because I think, and as an agency owner, I assume you, like any human being, you have to be if you're going to be 100% Monday morning.
Well, and it comes down, like I said before, like we're all about the relationships, and if I'm miserable to work with, then I don't have it to like, at the end of the day, like I didn't get into, you know, the agency to be this billionaire and like everything like that. Like I did it because I wanted to foster a team. I wanted to do good for the people around me. So if I'm miserable, who will want to be around me?
Right, and that is totally against your brand. So I can't ever imagine that being, look, we all have bad days, but it is fully against your
it's like,
brand.
I'm looking at people like, oh no, we've probably seen you come in
one of those days.
One of those days, some phone call didn't go right.
It happens, but like having this beautiful work-life balance and these like exciting adventures that you take, I think is what's going to keep you happy and healthy and keeping your full agency happy and healthy. Because they really, like, we depend on our owner to like be our backbone sometimes. So you take on a strong burden with, you know, all your employees, and I think you're doing a beautiful job.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
But before we go, we want to do our favorite little fire quick round. It's usually timed, but I'm just going to ask you all of these questions because I want to know the answers to all of them.
Okay, all right.
So you usually only get 60 seconds. All right.
Okay.
Beer, wine, or liquor?
Wine.
Briggs-Meyer personality type? I don't know.
And I forget what I am.
Okay.
Whatever.
Extrovert. Hogwarts house?
Wasn't a big Harry Potter fan, but I'm going to go Gryffindor.
Okay. What are you having for dinner? Or what do you usually have for dinner?
Oh, tonight we're having Mexican.
Yes.
Anything with cheese.
Okay. Favorite female celebrity?
Cameron Diaz.
She's so hot. Most recent book you've read?
Good to great.
That's a good one. Sparkling or still water?
Still.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I know.
What year would you time travel to?
Oh, I would love to go to the 1800s.
Interesting. Flats or heels?
Heels. But I'm in flats right now because it's inbound.
You walk 18 miles a day. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Biggest pet peeve?
Liars.
Yes. What gets you into trouble?
Listening to music too loud.
Oh, okay. Mac or PC?
Mac.
What's your superpower?
Ooh, just that I can talk to anybody, I think.
I love that. Favorite Disney princess?
Ariel.
Oh, Audrey, a new one. Your favorite food?
Food, anything with cheese. Again, that's why I eat it for dinner.
And you said wine is your drink of choice, but red or white?
All right.
Or rosé.
If you asked me Sunday, I was going rosé down at the beach. But I think red.
And then last but not least, pants or dresses?
Summertime dresses.
Yeah.
100%. They're just easier.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah. But thank you so much for doing this with me. I really appreciate you.
No, I'm so glad. Thank you so much.
Sadly, that'll do it for this week's episode of Maiden Voyage. We'd like to thank you, our amazing listeners, because let's face it, lady life is hard. It's incredible how much we accomplish every day, and we all deserve awards just for existing. If you're watching the show, make sure that you subscribe, click on that thing for instant notifications, speak your mind in the comments, and share us with your fellow Voyagers.